What's the state of the world? Have we lost our humanity? Where do people stand in terms of treating people with love and kindness? Are hate crimes up? We're going to talk about all that today. My guest and co-host, you know him. It's Shane Mark Tull, licensed clinical psychotherapist and author of the book, The Mental Health Pandemic. We're going to talk about the psychological effects of some of the things that we've been reading in the news and all over social media today. So stick around. This is OneMicNite. I'm Marcoso-Luis. Hi everyone, welcome back to another episode of OneMicNite, the podcast that brings you stories of artists and people on their journey, helping to guide, answer questions, and motivate you in life and the business. Today, we're doing a little bit of OneMicNite talk. You know who I have with me. I have my co-host, Mr. Shane Mark Tull. He's a licensed clinical psychotherapist and consultant, and of course, the author of the book, The Mental Health Pandemic. Welcome back, Mr. Tull.
Good afternoon, sir. How are you?
I'm doing well. Thank you for joining me again for this.
Good to be here. Good to be here.
Yes, sir.
How have you been?
I'm doing well. It's been a crazy week.
Really?
Crazy week. A lot of things happening. Yeah.
Yes.
And I want to talk. I want to talk about it.
Yes.
So first up on the roster, there's been some crazy stuff happening in the news. We're going to talk about some stuff in the news, and it's been all over social media. And I think it's been called the Alabama boat brawl.
That guy in the white shirt is crew from our little dinner cruise boat. We got off our ship to go over there to move that black pontoon boat on his own because those guys who parked there were told not to leave it there and they left it there. So he's just pushing it off. That's funny. Took matters into his own hands. I love it. I hope the police give him a big old ticket. Ooh, confrontation with the owner of the boat. Those guys are all drunk.
my dog like she a dog in heat. On my dog. I ain't gonna do nothing but drown and I'm gonna come in here. I'm gonna say one more substitute. No, we do for you, baby. It's over. Y'all gonna be part of that anyway.
If you know what I'm talking about.
Yes, I do.
So it was a case where a boat worker down in Alabama was trying to clear a pontoon that was parked there illegally. The owners of the pontoon had been asked to move, it's not the first time that's happened, but they were asked to move the pontoon out of the loading dock for the boat that was coming in. The boat was coming in. It's a tour boat from Selma, Alabama. And these people have repeatedly parked a pontoon there, and some people have deemed it as white privilege. Okay, so as we get deeper into the story, the boat first mate, whose name is Damian Pickett, decides he is going to move the boat so the boat can pull in. They've been waiting for 45 minutes. So upon doing that, the people who own the pontoon came out and confronted him and started a physical altercation. Not one person, not two people, but three people. So they started a physical altercation on him, which ensued into a whole full-out brawl. Now, I don't know if you want to pick up the story there, if I can keep going.
Keep going.
But it was visibly divided racially in the altercation. So more white people came out to help, physically assault the first mate, Damian Pickett. And subsequently, people who were filming this, in addition to other workers for the boat, came out to help Mr. Pickett, Damian Pickett, the first mate. The color line was visibly seen as the workers and the people supporting Mr. Pickett, some of whom were trying to break up the brawl, not even, physically have a physical altercation, but actually break up the brawl, jumped in, and it became white versus black.
Yeah.
Now, it's curious to me, like we can get into the history of actually where this brawl is taking place, because it's taking place in Alabama, which, of course, is where
very significant
in Black history and civil rights movement. And there's always been a history of racial tension in this particular area, because that's where Martin Luther King took up residence back in 54. Rosa Parks, the bus. Of course, Selma, where the walk was, where people, were boycotting. So the racial tension of this city has always been there. And it seems like it was no different that day. Now, the big turning point was that the Black people flipped the script, because they decided they were not going to sit back and take it anymore. They decided to fight and resist what was happening. What do you think is the whole psychological implications of everything that happened on that day are?
I think it was a response to a collective burden that we carry from slavery as Black people, where we're always, people take advantage of us, jump us, and we're always asked to take the higher ground. And, when they go low or we go high, these folks just met them where they were.
Yes. And
sometimes you just have to do that.
You do.
Now, a part of the story that I thought really stood out was that young kid that swam over. Now, I want a homeboy like that. That is willing to swim over.
Exactly.
I got my back. I think he was the man of the moment. I didn't realize he was just a kid.
I didn't either, because upon seeing the video, you just see a man walking by, and you go on social media and Black Twitter or Black X, they've deemed him the Black Aquaman. First of all, there's a myth that Black people don't swim. Okay,
so defied that. But I think collectively, what it reminds us of, that we still have these racial animus among us. And I think in the current climate we are in, given Donald Trump and his nonsense, he has laid out a red carpet for them. So they feel very emboldened that what they did was okay.
Right.
Now, I'm sure they're regretting that, because they got what they came for. They got more than what they came for.
More than one. Absolutely.
And they got arrested. And I really believe it's unfortunate that in 2003 these things are happening, but in 2023 these things are happening. But the reality is, it really never stopped, because
absolutely
the only thing is it got caught on video. Because I think these things probably happens more often than we think. The reason that it's so polarized now is everyone has a cell phone with a camera.
Right. Which is our great provider right now. That's the biggest, weapon we have in fighting. In fighting those atrocities committed against us. I mean, it doesn't necessarily prevent what's happening, but it definitely keeps it, footage so that we can refer to it, and then laws, we let the legal system jump in and take over, and we can show it to our peers and other people so they can join in to make sure that the law is enacted properly.
But also use it as a teachable moment. Do we really need to be fighting each other to resolve differences?
Right.
They really felt entitled, and they really thought that he should have just waited and accommodate them.
Absolutely.
And by no means lies of disrespect.
Right. And by no means are we advocating, violence. But at some point, you have to either protect your own, stand up, and you have to fight back. I'm all down with the MLK, peaceful protest and things like that. But at some point, when you're, defending yourself, not just your honor and your pride or anything like that, but physically defending yourself and defending your own, there's certain, things we have to do. You may pay the cost for it, but
Sometimes a chair just works better.
that's right. Chair does work better.
Sometimes the chair just works better. I'm sorry. I have like two feelings about it because I'm like, this is embarrassing.
It is embarrassing.
For me, someone that travels the world and people talk about democracy in America, and I'm like, what are people really thinking about us when they see things like this?
Absolutely. And it's okay. I mean, I think in instances like this, you know, as I said, we're defending ourselves and we're defending our own. There's no reason why three people should gang up on one man, you know, in a physical assault. So anyone who joined in was helping, you know, to protect this man.
Yeah.
You know, what are people thinking? There's a song out, a country song out right now by country singer Jason Aldean. It's called Try This in a Small Town, which is exactly what happened. So it's kind of funny because songs like these are songs that send out what's called dog whistles, which is languages to mask, you know, the extremist ideas that people have. So in his song,
I don't think it's a dog whistle anymore.
No, it really isn't.
This is a rallying cry.
Yes, it is. It is. So the video itself is, you know, lyrics referring to the Black Lives Matter movement, telling them that if you try something like that, if you come into our small town, we protect our own. You'll get the ramifications of what will happen if you do.
And also look at a very clear message where it was filmed.
Absolutely. So, absolutely. And I want to quote some of the lyrics from the song verbatim. It's, quote, "See how far you make it down that road. Good old boys, we take care of our town." There you have it. There you have it.
The good old boys.
The good old boys taking care of their own town. So these kind of messages, I think, are very prevalent in our society today. And what do we do with it? I mean, we have a presidential candidate who's the ringleader of it all. We have, you know, governors in certain states who are.
And continues to promote that kind of nonsense.
Absolutely.
But I think what is disturbing is that the presidential candidate that is leading this, he's just trying to do all of this. It's self-interest.
Yes.
Just to sell to jail, a lot of smoke screens. But there are people like DeSantis that literally believes this kind of stuff. And that is more scary.
It absolutely is.
That is more, and I think that's we have to pull back the veil from this and really look at it that in a way that this is really a threat to democracy.
It is. But here's the thing. We've said this before. What is the psychology of the people in the United States right now? Yes, we live in a democracy, but what really is the thought pattern? You know, it goes back to
tribalism.
Tribalism.
I think they're just staying with the tribe, and this is what we know. This is what worked for us, and we have someone out there with this megaphone that really is promoting our core values, which is hate and anger and apathy and a lack of trust for democracy. So, and that is what really disturbs me. I think there was an interview with the Reverend Al Sharpton and the vice president, and he asked her, "What keeps you up at night?" And she said, "Democracy. The fact that democracy is under siege." And I really think as this case against Donald Trump unfolds, people will really see the length and breadth and depth that he went to and continues to go to circumvent the election results and to steal a democratic process. So I really think those are the kind of things that we have to be honest about and look at, because we can have differences in policies and politics, but I really don't think when it comes to core democratic values like the transfer of power, not trying to steal an election and not trying to marginalize the cities that you cast doubt over, because these were predominantly African American cities. You destroyed the lives of two women in Georgia,
Yes. Mm-hmm.
and without any apathy. They just don't care. They push this narrative. They continue to push it. But the scary part, people continue to believe it. And that's what scares me even more.
And who are these people? Who are the brigade of people who follow behind his lies and rhetoric? Who are these people? You know, is that the majority of our country? It's got to be almost 50%. It's almost 50% of this country.
Probably more, because I think there are a lot of people that are not saying anything, but are like, yeah, I understand, I relate. It's okay.
Right. And we're not doubting the corruption of our country in politics. That we're not doubting. We're doubting the humanity. We're doubting the morals. Yes. You know, and a lot of the stuff is in the name of Christianity, you know, as they so deem.
Yes.
But then again, so wasn't this country founded? And look what happened.
Definitely.
To the captivity of people.
And we're just still holding on to their Bibles and their guns. That is a very scary thought.
That is very scary. Now, I want to talk a little bit about statistics, because I know that from the statistics, hate crimes are up. You know, out of 10,840 incidents, you know, you have 12,822 victims. The national hate crimes increased by 11.6%. 63.1% were single-based incidents, you know, based on race, ethnicity, and ancestry. 7.1% Asian hate crimes. 6.6% anti-Hispanic and Latino. 20% sexual orientation. Now, we just had here in New York a situation where we had a hate crime based on sexual orientation. A young man who was a professional dancer named O'Shea Sibley was killed because of being gay. He was dancing in a parking lot out by Coney Island in New York.
At a gas station.
At a gas station, dancing.
And the scary part is a kid, a 17-year-old child that was in the company of grown men that encourage, participate, condone this behavior.
Absolutely.
So, like, where do we go from here? How do we heal from these constant trauma? Because every time a Black person gets hurt or killed or maimed, I thank God it's not me.
Yes.
But it makes me scared that could have been me or my child or someone I know and love. Right. So we are literally on the siege. Existing in our Black skin is we're on the siege. Just in the news today, I think it was in Mississippi, where 6 cops are going to be placed in trial for literally terrorizing 2 men. Yes. I don't remember hearing about that before, but I was listening to it. It was horrible. Horrible.
It's horrible. And I say this all the time. Every Black man in this country has a story about the police. We've all had a run-in with the police some way, somehow. Yep. Yep. I myself, and I've told this story before, when I was my freshman year in college in Evanston, Illinois, which has its own history of racial situations. I was in my room, and they have what's called the freshman handbook, and it has the pictures of all the incoming freshmen coming in. There was a Kinko store a few blocks down from my dormitory that was robbed. So they took the freshman year handbook, in there. The woman picked me out as the person who robbed the store. So on my door knocks the sheriff, saying, telling me that I had to come down to be identified as the person who robbed the Kinko store. I was shitting in my boots. Excuse my language, but I was, literally didn't know what to do. If she said yes, then I would have been taken into the legal system to have to fight. It could have ruined my life. I could have been expelled from school, like the whole nine.
Lose your financial aid.
Lose my financial aid, anything that I had, right? So we've all had a story with the police, wrongdoing. Yes. Luckily, I got out of that. Segue to recently in the news, there was a 12-year-old kid who went to take the garbage out. His father sent him out to take the garbage. This is in Lansing, Michigan. The father's sitting around waiting for the son to come back. He looks out the window. The police had pulled up to him because they identified him as someone who had been committing auto theft. He had on similar clothing. So they handcuffed the little boy, the 12-year-old kid. What are the psychological effects of that?
Devastating. He can suffer from PTSD for the rest of his life from that incident, and not to mention the message that he gets as a young black man that I went to put on my garbage on my parents' property, and the cops could come up, pull me over, handcuff me, and I have no rights.
No rights.
What explanation did they give to the parent?
That he had on similar outfit. He fit the description, is what they said. He fit the description of someone who, the kid had on neon shorts. Right? So I'm pretty sure the other person they were looking for didn't have on neon shorts. How many people wear neon shorts?
Thank you.
Right?
Well, I hope they have a good lawyer.
I hope they do too. I mean, it's devastating. And where do we go from here? What do we do? I mean, we're always the subject of we're always the prey.
Yep. Yes. And you wonder why young black men are angry.
Right.
Just when they experience these insults, and it's really an insult to their spirit and their humanity. So, like I told people, just existing in this black skin every day is a revolutionary experience. If you go to work and you come back home and you make it home alive, it's a revolutionary experience, because they're among the things that can happen to us when we leave our door, when we leave our home. It's unbelievable. And a lot of these things happen and no one reported. I've known a lot of black men that were pulled over by the cops, harassed, but they were so embarrassed. They never reported it. They never talked about it. But imagine what that does to them. Yeah. Or they were pulled over with their kids in their car. Yeah.
Right. And you feel like even though you have rights, you have no rights. Because anything that you say,
they're there. Yeah.
No. And especially in front of your kids. It's a horrible thing. And I know you as a parent, what do you say to your child? What do you say to your, kids, when you have to have that talk? Because I've had that talk with my little brother.
You have to. I tell my Caucasian colleagues, I'm the parent that doesn't go to bed until my son, who's 28 years old, texts me and said, "Dad, I'm home."
Right.
He lives in a different state. So I'm that parent that made sure that his car was of a late model and always working properly. I don't want him to break into the side of the road and the cops, because I said, when you're a black parent, you think of all of the things that can happen to your kid. And it's really scary. And you try to make allowances for those things, but the reality is you really cannot protect them. you really can't protect them.
You can't.
just have that talk with them and say, keep your hand on the wheel, say yes, sir, no, sir, and just pray that you get through this with your life.
Absolutely. And I think we as parents and we as older people need to help equip them with the mindset of what
Yes.
they should do if they're being stopped. It just takes a moment for you to lose your life. It's not worth it.
Yeah. It
Listen
just
to the
takes
officer,
a
take the
shift-
badge number.
Just
Yeah.
a shifting of your eyes.
Yep.
Yeah.
Take the badge number, deal with it later. Put your ego away. Put your pride
Mhm.
away.
It's
Don't try
hard.
to run. None of that.
hard. It's hard.
It is hard.
When your
it's important.
humanity is being confronted, it's hard to respond with calm, but we have to tell them for that moment. And like I tell my son, for that moment, you think of your dad and the fact that what my life would be like without you. I said, just do that. And he
Yeah.
said that I always keep that in mind because yeah, he lives in Ohio. They just pull folks over for no reason. So it's hard to tell your kid to be strong and upstanding. And then on the other hand, you have to tell them to be submissive and vulnerable. Because, but the reality is like, you getting home with your life is of paramount importance.
It's worth a lot more. It is.
Yes.
And we say all that to say that, as you go out into the world, people of color, please just keep your eyes open, and be aware. It's the mindset.
Yeah,
and not every police officer is bad. We're not saying that, but we do know that there are some bad apples out there and your life is more important. So it's important for you to be aware and abide by the rules and deal with the legality of it later. You can take the name, the badge, ask for the supervisor, the whole nine, but you still must abide by the law in that situation.
But it's also important for us to get involved. Get involved, get on your school board, volunteer at the days of election, get involved, run for office, support, go out and campaign for someone that that shares your values. These are the things that are important. And we really have to go against the myth that Black fathers are not doing things with their children. We are doing astronomical things. We're doing amazing things with our children. Are we all perfect? No, we're not. But we're human. So let's give ourselves some grace that not all of us could be doing the right thing. But if one of us is not doing the right thing and you're in a position that you can be a mentor for your cousin or your neighbor kid or your godson, stand up, show up.
Absolutely. Show up.
It makes a difference in that kid's life. So
it does.
It's important that we stand up, show up for our own, and be examples. Not perfect, because we're perfectly imperfect.
Absolutely.
But if one of your mistakes, you can share that with a younger person, 20 years younger, you may have just helped that person through making the same mistake you probably did. So.
And there you have it. I think we should leave them on that note.
Yes.
Awesome. How do we get in touch with you? Let them know once again. Where do we buy the book?
Shane Tull. The book is on Amazon. The mental health pandemic. It's doing really well. Thanks to viewers for the support. I'm so grateful, and I'm working on the second one. So
I love it.
You'll get the preview. Okay.
I love that. Thank you. And I also want to say, when we have time, we'll talk about this off camera, but I want to follow up on that and maybe have a men's group, to help the community, because we all need, a little help and a little talking to
support.
Yeah.
Right.
So maybe we can do that.
I'm definitely open to that. Cool.
Okay. If not, maybe we're going to have a panel.
Yeah.
Shane Marteau, make sure Shane Marteau, make sure you get the book. It's available on Amazon. Follow him on social media. I want to thank you guys all for joining me. I'm Marcoso-Luis. Forgot who I am. Marcos-Luis. Make sure you check out Azule's EN. The new t-shirts are there. Also, we got some I Am Art mugs you can get. That's right. The OneMicNite, and new shirts and merchandise coming soon too.
All right.
OneMicNite is the show. We'll see you later. Thank you for joining. Bye-bye.
Good night. Take care. Bye-bye.